Hello, everybody. I hope you've had an amazing day. I wanted to jump on today. There's something that I've been holding back doing. And I knew when I was here in Cape Verde that a huge cycle had ended for me, a cycle of fear, a cycle of the inability to really speak my truth, and I guess be scared of what people would think of me. Because over the last couple of years, some pretty interesting things have happened to me. I talk about the divine placement and the synchronicities and the divine plan. Those of you who follow on Instagram, you would see a lot of my posts resonate with that. But I wanted to share my story. And when I say story, I mean from the point I met the most incredible man who was sent to me because it was the right time, because everything is always the right time. Remember that. And I was in the process of healing a lot of my wounding, but I knew that there was much more to come anyway. When I sort of said I'm ready, things happened quickly, and I met this amazing man on Coffee Meets Bagel. I mean, I'd never heard of this dating app before, but I was like, I like coffee, I like bagels. It turns out that this app was pretty incredible when it was connecting divine partners. So yeah. After a while, I was like, this is all bullshit. There's no one really that wants to connect in the way that I was looking for, drop all expectations. And just as I see this guy come into my feed, I'm like, no man, he's too young. I'm not interested, I don't really want a project. I want someone who I can share my life with, and not someone who's, in a different life stage as me. Anyway, I kept clicking the X button. I was like, no, no, no. And this guy just kept appearing in my feed, no matter what I would do. So in the end, I gave in, and there we go. I messaged. I sort of connected, and then, the next day he responded, and he said some things to me that straight away was like, how do you even know this about me? We only just started talking, and there was a few key words, like he mentioned about Somerset, which is where I grew up. So this was the first piece of the puzzle. This connection just wasn't normal at all. He was a real gentleman, which was very different to the other people I was speaking to, I'm not gonna lie. Quickly moved those on. But yeah, he sort of said, look, I'll give you my number, and when you're ready, please reach out to me. Not asking me for my number, like, how the routine goes. A couple of days later, I reached out to him, and we started talking extensively. Anyway, our connection grew. It was very, very intense. He unlocked something inside of me, and I hope that my poem, as I read it, it kind of shows you exactly what this divine placement in my life has helped me with. It's not from this world. You may have heard of twin flames or divine counterparts, or these things that are in there, and I don't care what it's called. All I know is it changed my life. The unconditional that I love, I found for myself because I found it for him, because I recognized so many pieces of myself in him. And how how could I get aggravated or get frustrated with how things were going between us, when it was me, basically, and it was just a direct mirror. And as you go through this sort of spiritual evolution of your soul, you'll realize that you will constantly be aligning with people who are direct mirrors of you. And as you change your vibration, those mirrors start to change as well, because they're there to show you. When you say to someone, you are just so incredible, it's like a mirror for you, because you finally see it within someone else. Why can't you see it within yourself? And you start to really believe in that. So when you say, oh my God, you're such an incredible dancer, or you're a great photographer, and like 50 other people have been telling you the same thing, you start to finally listen, and you're like, you are me and I am you. There's no disconnection here. Everything is connected and everything is divine. So it was a powerful, powerful journey, and I'm still very much on this journey, and I'm finally ready to tell my story. Thank you to all the other people that I see have embraced this journey probably a couple of years before me. In the world, we call them collectives, but I just call them incredible people who are really, really brave, step out of their fear zone and completely trust this plan. And I've kind of been half in, half out, and every time I meet with someone and I talk to them about their journey, about being half in, half out, and I'm like, listen, Kat, this is you as well. So are you ready to go all in? And are you ready to speak your truth finally of this incredible love that you found for yourself? Because you found an incredible person that showed you exactly where you needed to heal, ripped you down to the point of, what you thought was no return, but realistically was the point of everything that was being unfolded for you. The most incredible future that you could ever ask for, and the trust you have within yourself because you trust the journey and you trust the people that are brought into your life. So I really hope you enjoy it. It's very, very important to me, this poem. And look, everyone will have an opinion on what I say, but this is my experience. I'm very, very grateful that my beautiful soul Sam was with me. And she helped guide me through. She was a beautiful divine placement as well, aligned with me because I was ready to have this experience. Because once again, when you start calling in forgiveness and you start calling in your ancestors and you start seeing the signs of feathers and owls and repetitive numbers, etc., and you start realizing people are trying to talk to you, you then start opening up to a lot more. When you ask for a shooting star, you see one, or when you ask for someone to be brought to you, they are. It's an incredible journey. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty far-fetched for a lot of people, and that's okay too, because everybody is at their own pace. But I hope you enjoy, and as always, welcoming any comments, good or bad, because neither are good or bad, they just are, and they're where people are at. So I'm pretty happy to receive, and hopefully if anything resonates with any of you, then please let me know, and if you need any clarification or any guidance in any way, just let me know. Once upon a time, a woman 38, divorced a few years, no more demands on her plate, picked up a copy of The Universe Has Your Back, Gabby Bernsteins teaching us about the dangers of lack. I listened to an audiobook more than once, taking in the words as they came, but I always skipped the chapter of the spirit guides and the ghosts that remain. But one morning in Brisbane, my phone started to play that chapter I always skipped at the start of my day, where it talked about a connection of once we had and now lost, how our ancestors and guides wanted to help us live our lot. I've always had fear about the afterlife, and here I am, Ghostbuster moment, as my screen comes alive. Little did I know things about to be when synchronized events began to happen extensively. Meeting some guys on Tinder, elite singles and all, recognizing this fish is out of water, still people pleasing at people's beck and call. Maybe I wasn't ready. Too much attention came as I started to get obsessed and absorbed in the need for love again. Connected with a few, thanks to COVID, nothing concrete. Looking back at it now, I'm grateful, non-starters, time wasted, never to meet. Eventually, I met someone who triggered many gaps, recognizing the areas I was still repeating, external validation, and patterns in lack. An amazing soul contract, chosen from the very start, of how he would come and explode our strong, tender heart. Dreaming of him every night, we spoke a few times, couldn't get his smile out of my head. In the morning, my soul spoke rhymes, confused of this divine man who spoke of cider in the Somerset Hills, and the adrenaline he once thrived, and of course, his business skills. As the weeks went by, after we finally met, it wasn't long until the craziest night that I will never forget. I was grateful that someone was with me, that's true, who could see different dimensions from birth and help guide me through. She said, "Kat, do you have someone religious in your family line? Don't be scared, but she's standing in your kitchen at this time." Honestly, my body went cold. My skin vibrated like wind through a quiver as I was shook to my core as I let out a gasp along with a cold shiver. She's asking you to go outside. She's holding the journal you misplaced. She took it for you to rewrite a different version of healing, a new grace. Looking over at the door, I knew that I'd locked. I wanted to vomit, scared of what was happening. What the fuck? What? Standing on the deck, my friend said, "Look up at the moon." For then she dropped to the floor, leaving me with only standing room. My head was pulled to look. Tears started to fall within seconds at the lunar goddess in her fullness as the light of the dark started to beckon. She kept expanding and growing in my eyes. Despite how scared I was, my heart was exploding, ignited from inside. By this time, my tears, she was carrying on with her incredible show as I watched it split in two and wings reconnected her from below. I couldn't close my eyes as I was crying so strong. Still, looking up into the sky, as that's where I felt like I belonged. Many lines of gold and platinum started to beam down, straight to the ground. Next, a landing of a huge bird, a magic to unfold, as my friend told me, they're present, my ancestors of old. 13 women and 2 men is what she could make out. Confirmed. She counted again, excited to talk to me. After all this time, the whispers were a shout, as they discussed the line of the rose and the information lost, and the truth of Mary Magdalene that had been taken with a cost. I couldn't see the souls, just felt a strong presence of love. Not to appear yet, they were told, as I was to focus on the moon above. The time was now, and ripping the band-aid off to change my future years. Held, please, loved one, don't be afraid, and let us kiss away those tears. I couldn't take much more. My heart wasn't able, as Sam repeated the words, Knights of the Round Table. She described to me who they were, many different generations, waiting finally to connect, to be released, ascended from the trauma from a different dimension. Told me that my garden was full of many faces, ascended masters, elders, animals, to a gentleman wearing World War II braces, a white tiger standing guard. I couldn't believe this. Is it true? The spirit world in my backyard? Finally allowed into the house, not knowing what to make. Something I want to say. I wasn't drugged. I was well and truly awake. Despite how much fear and anxiety that was there, this energy was so strong, and it was pure love and care. So would you lock me up if I told you Mother Mary was standing next to me with Yeshua and other Palladian souls I start to see, feeling the divine source, surrender to turn over this new leaf? All I could do was accept, despite the fact I was speechless in disbelief. A dramatic commotion, doors swung, and a huge icy blast. The room went misty, a pure power that was showing so vast. I felt all the protection as this opened up my eyes from those with pure intention and the separation from lies. I begged Sam to stay. She told me she could for a while to help me see what was happening. I was still speechless, in denial. That word is kind of significant though, as that powerful force was the goddess magic Isis. I'm learned. I am an initiate from Egypt, of course. Back to my night, meant to change everything in me. Started at 9 p.m. and now it's AM 3. Lying on my bed, alert with all the sense. My powerful, loving guides held me close, became my divine defense. It was time for Sam to leave. I started crying again. She explained they told her to go, and that trusting them was now the plan. That I was okay to believe that Archangel Michael was on my roof and would not let anything in unless Mary did approve. Wide open to this new world, I had no other choice to surrender that night. Asked to be held though, a quiet tone in my voice. I woke up the next day. How are you feeling? How did you sleep? A message from my angel Sam. What could I say, considering I was still in disbelief? I couldn't comprehend the plan. Maybe I was thinking too much. I burst into tears, just craving a physical of that man's loving touch. A feeling of full grief. I don't know where this emotion came, recognizing the point that something held from another's pain. She told me Mary was with her, telling her to bring Chinese broccoli, eat something I ought, how she was too trusting, what she was being told and now taught. Turning up at 4 p.m, dinner in her hand, I was sat in bed. There was no way I could stand. She held my leg and told me, brace myself, because someone was going to come through. And then, my great uncle Dennis appeared in full spirit view. A man whose death had changed the course of a family's emotional tension. He felt forgotten as he tried to talk, and ears ringing, he did mention. Telepathically told me of how things happened the way they did, how 2 brothers went to war, and the abuse I suffered as a kid. You see, only Grandpa came back from those bloody times. Dennis on the Normandy landing kill. Something was never healed from that traumatic crime. Maybe Grandpa blamed for not protecting him. A love of his brother, a loss of yet another, became emotionally unopened, guarded, sad and angry in his heart. Of course, my dad would be similar, transmuting pain from the start. And here was Dennis. I heard more of his story unfold, asking for his loss to be forgiven, praying I would be the one to release him his trauma of old. Also, a spokesperson of the others of how he was elected to bring the truth from the past fathers and mothers and their dilemmas of the youth. Explaining how all through times unproud decisions that had been made and the loss of many children became the cord that had been frayed. This had kept so many lineages stuck as we formed a fear and layers of clay around our hearts, not able to grieve or forgive, causing pain like a dart. Not gonna lie, the tears were flowing, a vision I could see, the pain in his eyes finally released, breaking the silence to be free, believing he had been forgotten and how he prayed to connect, to learn the truth of my purpose. Garda la foi, and the lost motto that had effect. Enabling me to forgive and see a different way of how life was like for Dad, a Victorian upbringing from that day, as many babes were born shortly after war, to rebuild a population of what was once there before. Further I know now, I've opened many doors, generational stories from times of regret, pain, and more. Always knew I had powerful women, incredibly Viking warriors strong, helping protect me and guide me along. But meeting my soul group and healing the Riches and Saxton line, forgiven each and every one who are at peace now, and that ascends down the line, bringing me the gifts that were presented before I was born, dusting off the skills of the wordsmith, stepping into adventure boots always once worn. Whenever I want to connect, I look myself in the eyes, a love for my ancestors from the very depth of my heart inside, accepting them finally because I finally accept myself, remarrying my connection, no more sickness, pure love is my wealth. It's been nearly 2 years since that very night. I've learned to accept the witch wound, no more fear and fright, acceptance of these incredible gifts to help others ready to see of how amazingly orchestrated and abundant our lives can be. Helping people understand that we should never control or pull, only our own healing to lead with what resonates for a life in purpose and always full. You see, when you realize we choose everything in our script, we can always stop and assess and rewrite the story in it. It's simply a choice. And some people are just not ready. The ceiling that they have doesn't bother them. The pace they have is steady. And learning that that's okay, of a life we build up and what we find, clearing energy each day and detaching expectations in our mind. relearning inner child reflections, forgiving those that had conditioned us from birth, the contract they had from abuse sometimes to removing self-worth. It was all in the plan to help your soul evolve, the groups that agreed to help bring you back to whole, to teach you the lessons, enable karma to be released. So if we choose to remove these cycles, can you let go of all the grief? Working on remaining present and resisting gossip and others' tensions, because no one knows you better than you. And that is something I want to mention. Can you be accountable for all your choices down to the letter and remove others' voices that implement their fear to make themselves feel better? So if you give away your power, insisting on listening to another's song, have them control how you think and act, outsourcing your validation, your power will be siphoned, and that's an acceptance of a fact. Are you still calling wolf and focused on being a victim? Do you follow the pattern of attracting those narcissistic and convincing? To quote a favorite author who opened up my life, you are your own guru, so enable your power, divine, sovereign being of light. Grateful you understand there was a few bloopers there. I was reading it from my laptop as well. It would take me a number of weeks to learn that one off by heart. But that was spoken from my heart. It was an incredible night for me that changed my life. I guess the reason why I want to put this out there is because I know I speak to a lot of people who reach out to me when I put various posts up. And I still sense how fearful people are to really talk about their journey. And I'm a full believer that our stories as healers, because with intuition, they can heal. It's all we were, healers, shamans, connected to the land, having our throats cut and our voices taken and our lips sewn shut and our hearts forsaken. There you go. That was just a poem off the cuff, because the gift I've been brought back is knowing that people are finding it tough. I could do you a tarot read. I could sit with you in a session. But how I like to heal the world is not be scared of what needs to be mentioned. So I love you all, and I hope you enjoyed the poem. Like I said, speak your truth. Our journeys are all different. And if one person can help speak their truth, and another person, to the fact that we can move through cycles and close cycles in our life and move on to the most incredible things. But before those things happen, we have to heal the parts of us that stop us from believing it's possible. And we have to remember all those times where maybe we were drink driving, or maybe, we nearly fell off a cliff, or maybe there was a car accident that we should have not survived from. We're here for a reason, yeah? You're divinely protected if you believe it. If you put that vibration out there of no fear, and you move through these timelines that we're offered, because they're all a choice. If you see things that are repeating in your life, you're just going to keep meeting those people in those scenarios until you actually go, why does this keep happening to me? But it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. Because when you realize everything is happening for you, you can change. And every day, something I do every day is I clear the energies from past, present, and future timelines, because I trust that whatever is out there in that next timeline I choose to jump when the time is right, it's going to be more magical than I can ever imagine. And I'm just going to throw another line out there. If any of you are having things that are just not aligning for you at the moment, if you're really trying to push for more followers on Instagram, or you're putting a post up or something on Spotify and you're checking it every 5 minutes to see whether people are loving what you do, stop. Because this is also part of the journey. Maybe the person isn't ready to hear your post yet that could actually make a difference in their life. And maybe in 3 weeks' time they will be. But don't stop believing in it. Don't. Because we're here to reprogram ourselves. No one else. Ourselves. And by doing that, we pull ourselves out of the paradigm of what we're in, this control mode of other people telling us that there's no way we can be on stage. We have to learn how to waitress a table, and that's not devaluing any jobs out there. What I'm saying is, don't let someone else's fear and conditioning based on their soul plan stop you from remembering yours. So much love to you. And we're at 25:52. 25:52 as I looked up at the clock. I'm about to cut off now. But 2 + 5 is 7. 2 + 5 is 7. And we are in the year of 7, the book of Revelations. Just saying, everything is aligned.